Behold, the smallest e-bike I've ever ridden. This is the Hiboy C1 folding electric bike. It's tiny, it goes 20 miles per hour, it's inexpensive, and it's adorable. Today, let's take an in-depth look at all of the features, go for a ride, and see what this minuscule electric machine is all about. Now, this channel primarily focuses on cars, but I featured some e-bikes because these machines open up a whole new world of possibilities in terms of getting around. And I'm really intrigued by these extra small, ultra portable bikes. I mean, look at this cute thing. It's so small, and because it's so compact, I think it could end up being a really convenient tool to get around. It's significantly lighter than many e-bikes, and it gives you a place to sit, unlike a lot of e-scooters. It folds and should be pretty easy to pop in the back of a car or store by your desk at work. If you're interested in buying this e-bike, be sure to use my link in the description below. It will help support the channel. But don't buy this bike just yet. Let's first check out the specs, ride it around town, and see how it does. All right, so let's do a walk around of this pocket-sized e-bike and check out all the features and specs. So it turns out that this bike is delivered almost completely assembled. It took about 15 minutes to get up and running. So what do you think of the looks here? It's very strange, but it is incredibly unique. In order to make a bike this small, it seems like they really had to think outside of the box, and I dig how it looks. It's available in black or white, and the handlebars fold down, making it a little bit more convenient when you're moving it. Whoa! And as you can see, that little tiny kickstand doesn't really hold the bike up very well, so keep that in mind. So yes, I will mention once again that this is a very small bike, just under 51 inches from front to back. Now, in terms of who this bike is for, they say it can fit somebody that's just under 4 feet to somebody that's 6 feet. And I'm 6'3", and yeah, this bike does feel a little bit small for me, but we'll make it work. So this little thing weighs in at 50 pounds, and the maximum payload is 230 pounds. It's got a 350 watt rear motor, and it doesn't seem like any torque specs are published for this motor, but we'll test it and see how powerful it is. What do you think, Georgia? What do you think about this bike, huh? Is this kind of like a Georgia-sized bike? Yeah, pretty cool, huh? So this is a 36-volt bike, and the battery is located back here. It's a pretty small 7.8 amp hour battery size, and it takes about 5 to 6 hours to charge this from empty to full using the included charger. Hiboy says the range is 21.7 miles, that's very exact, but oftentimes e-bike companies are optimistic with their range claims, so we'll test this. They say the top speed is 20 miles per hour, but for a small bike like this, I'd imagine rider weight might affect that a little bit. If you need to deal with hills, Hiboy says that this can climb a 20% grade. And we do have pedals here, but only one gear. There are 3 different pedal assist modes here: Eco, D, and S, which I assume is for sport. And the pedals use a cadence sensor, which is typical for a bike like this. Twist throttle on the right side of these very straight handlebars. Front and rear cable-operated brakes using 160mm rotors. 14-inch tires, plastic fenders, and we have suspension here in the front, but none in the rear. It's got a decently comfortable split design seat. It's got a bell. Reasonably bright light in the front, taillight, and a flashing brake light. And as you might expect, there's no space for cargo on this particular bike. And it does come with a 2-year warranty. All right, so today I think I'm gonna take a ride through the city to some nearby neighborhood shops and see how this bike handles my day. And I'm hoping that the small size of this bike makes the whole process more convenient. All right, let's go. All right, so yeah, I'll say it once again. This is a very small bike. Yeah, I'm a little bit too tall for this bike. I might look a little bit silly, but I'm gonna make it work. So out back, we've got that 350 watt hub motor, and while that might seem kind of small for an e-bike, this is a small e-bike, so it's actually quite reasonable. You get a reasonable amount of power out of it. We are going 20 miles per hour. Let's go around this turn at a high rate of speed. That's fast for a bike this small. Let's do a brake test here. 3, 2, 1. Whoa, whoa. Lock up the rear tire a little bit there. Let's try one more time. There we go. That was much better. Yeah, so this bike has pretty reasonably sized 160mm rotors. Now they are cable operated. You're not gonna see hydraulic brakes on a bike this cheap, I don't think, but they work pretty well. You just have to take in consideration the handling characteristics of a bike with a wheelbase that's this short and with tires this small. Yeah, so you'll just have to get used to that, but once you do, this thing is pretty nimble. Ooh, nice. Check out this old Explorer. That's a pretty nice shape for a first-gen Explorer. You don't really see these very often anymore. Oh my gosh, check out this old Mercedes. This is one of the benefits of living in Southern California. So many cool old cars are preserved. We don't have any rust here. So you might be aware that this channel primarily focuses on cars. One of my favorite ways to spot a lot of these old cool vehicles is by riding a bike, because oftentimes when you're driving, you're just going too fast to really take it all in. A lot of times there's not even really a good place to stop and pull over. And it's maybe kind of the point of this video today is to try to discover some of those local businesses that I might have just not even noticed because I was in my car. So I think we're gonna make a quick stop here at this coffee shop because I could really go for some coffee right now. Cookie butter latte. I know that sounds pretty decadent. It's pretty damn delicious. It's like 1,000 times better than anything I've ever had at Starbucks. Let's pedal a little bit so I can burn off some of this caffeine. And actually, let's go up this road a little bit more because I think there's a hill right here. We can do a hill test. All right, now Hiboy says that this can climb a 20% grade. Let's see how it does. 3, 2, 1, go. This is a pretty steep hill and it's doing a decent job getting up it. Yeah, I'm going 13 miles an hour, 12 miles an hour, full throttle, but we're doing it. I'm probably killing my range right now trying to make it up this hill, but we're doing all right. All right, so let's talk comfort. Now the seat, while it's pretty small, it's actually pretty comfortable. And this bike lane has a fair amount of bumps, and the suspension here does a pretty good job of soaking them up. Obviously, there's just suspension in the front, none in the rear, but it does a pretty good job of making this a slightly more comfortable ride. But there's only so much comfort that you're going to get with 14-inch tires. You do feel a lot of those imperfections in the road, but I'm not gonna complain because the compromises that you make with this bike, you're gaining a whole lot of flexibility and convenience because it's just so small. So yeah, just keep an eye out for those huge bumps in the road and you'll be fine. So even though I'm a little too big for this bike, the riding position feels really good. The handlebars are in a perfect spot. I don't have to reach too far. They're not too close to me. And you know, this is an inexpensive bike, so the grips aren't the nicest grips in the world, but they're very grippy. Now, normally I prefer a thumb throttle over a twist throttle, but this one's pretty nice. It's also very grippy. All right, so I've been doing mostly throttle riding so far because this bike only has one gear. When you're going faster than like maybe 10 miles an hour, the pedals kind of become useless. They're just sort of there for show. It is nice to have the pedals. You want to get a little bit of exercise when you're going kind of slow. So since I kind of already messed up a little bit today with all of that caffeine intake, I might as well just go full throttle and get a little bit of sugar. I hear that there's a really good donut shop up here on the right. Never actually been there before. It's called Moki Nut. This is really dumb. All of that caffeine and now I'm gonna just add some sugar on top of it. Never said it was smart. Let's get out of here and burn off all these calories. The other thing I forgot to mention is there is a Hiboy app. You can connect to the bike via Bluetooth. It allows you to control features like the speed settings, the cruise control, and the LED lights. All right, so I've only gone about 4 miles so far, and Hiboy says that the estimated range on this bike is about 20. I'm gonna see how far I can go with this today. You can get going pretty good with this. I'm not gonna keep up with traffic, but it's got enough juice to get you through intersections without feeling like you're gonna get stranded in the middle. Feel the power of this 350-watt motor. We are cruising now, 20 miles an hour. Now, if you're wondering, no, this cannot be unlocked to go any faster than 20, and you definitely don't want to go any faster than 20 on this bike. Normally, I would say yes, I want most of my electric bikes to go 28, but class 3 speeds, not this one. So I figured, why don't I head up the street to the local thrift shop. It's always fun to check out local thrift shops to see if you can find any unusual electronics, some old vintage stuff.
Oh, my husband's riding by on his bike. Hello!
Hey, I know you. I'm shooting a video.
Oh! He's shooting a video.
That's hilarious. Just randomly saw my wife driving by. She was coming home from work. Not that hard to spot though. Big goofy looking guy on a tiny bike wearing a dorky helmet. Okay, I've got 3 bars left on the battery. I've been doing mostly throttle riding up until this point. So yeah, I haven't really used the pedals a whole lot today, only a little bit when I was on the sidewalk. I mean, this is kind of an e-scooter with a seat. I mean, I really think that's maybe how I would view this bike, is that the pedals are only there just in those rare cases where you want to get a little bit of exercise or when your battery finally dies, you can still move a little bit. And I gotta say, you know, it is more comfortable than riding an e-scooter, at least an e-scooter without like decent suspension. You can definitely traverse more of these bumpy sections of sidewalk. All right, so I'm down to 2 bars on the battery. You never know exactly what that means. Every bike sort of calculates the battery percentage a little bit differently. So it's really hard to know how many more miles I've got left on this thing. I mean, I did a tiny bit of pedaling, which maybe helped a little bit. But yeah, I like this little bike. Yeah, it's not fast. It's, you know, not the most comfortable bike I've ever ridden, but the small size of this really does provide a lot of distinct advantages. Ooh, I'm down to 1 bar on this bike. I should probably pedal a little bit. Back up to 2 bars. I was down to like 1 flashing red bar. You know, it's trying to calculate based on what I've been doing. I was going uphill there for quite a bit. All right, we're getting close to the thrift store. Oh my goodness. All right, so I didn't find any cool old electronics at this Goodwill, but it's probably for the better. I don't really need any more cheap crap cluttering my house. Are we down to our flashing red light on the... Yes, we are. That means I'm gonna have to pedal a little bit. It's cutting my power. I was hoping I would make it all the way home, but it doesn't look like I'm going to. Let's give it a little bit of help. All right, thankfully I have a little bit of a downhill here. Maybe gain back a little bit of that range. So we're just gonna coast down this hill and hope that we can maybe hit this light when we hit the bottom, gain a little bit of momentum, and not use any battery. Looks like we've done about 13, 14 miles so far. Now, of course, e-bike range can vary depending on a whole lot of factors: rider weight, weather, how much you use that throttle. Yeah, so it looks like I'm not gonna quite make it home today on battery power alone. I'll have to actually get some exercise. So yeah, we're not getting any more juice here. I'm gonna officially call it. That's the end of my range test. Looks like we've done 15 miles. Oh my gosh. All right, so was I able to do everything I wanted to do on this bike today? No, not exactly. I was trying to push the range of this bike just to see how far it would go. So if you keep yourself within like a 7 to 8 mile radius of your house, you should be fine. All right, so how much does this little thing cost you? The tiny Hiboy C1 is currently available for the tiny price of $449. It seems like a pretty good deal for what you get. But like all bikes that I've tested, I've got numerous positives and a few nitpicks. The first one really isn't the bike's fault, but it's a bit small for me at 6'3". If you're under 6 feet tall, I think this bike would work a bit better for you. And my only other nitpick that you saw is that the kickstand is far too small and doesn't really work very well. And of course, there are some compromises with ride quality and comfort because the bike is so small with such a short wheelbase. If I had to regularly ride longer distances, I'm not sure the C1 would be my only bike. But the tiny size is what makes this bike so convenient. It would be a really great bike for short trips around town. What do you think? Would a bike this small work for you? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to see more videos like this one, please consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon. If you want to help support the channel, please buy a Hello Road t-shirt at helloroad.tv/shop. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks, Train. Thank you, Train. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you're well. See you soon.